dinner.
Because we know Lindy does not want to celebrate it. That's why there was no negotiating.
Damn it.
So, as you know, today is Lindy's birthday, and you have obviously tuned into Turn of the Millennials. You obviously know that.
Yep.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Lindy.
And you can hear the reluctance in her voice, because Lindy's birthday is officially today.
I don't want to be 39. But I'm going to try to embrace it, but I don't want to.
Right? It's one more year until the big 4-0.
Shush. Shush. I'm not turning 40. I'm just going to be 39 with plus year experience.
This is true.
Jinx.
This is true. You owe me a Coke. So since it's Lindy's birthday, she got to choose our topic for this week. On a small note, I was at a concert last night, so I'm a little hoarse at certain times. For the most part, I'm pretty good, but if my voice goes out, I apologize. It's my first concert in 3 years post-COVID, so it was awesome. I had to scream my voices out.
Yeah.
So, as we were saying, Lindy's topic for this week.
I chose my favorite fucking musical from when I was a child. I've been wanting to talk about this movie for, since we fucking started this podcast.
But it was 92.
And it's 92, so it's outside of our realm. But because my birthday, fuck that, don't care, I'm going to talk about Newsies.
Right, we get to choose our own on our birthdays, and yeah.
Do you know what my favorite thing about telling people about Newsies who have never heard of it? My favorite thing to tell them is that it has Christian Bale in it when he was 17 and he sings and dances. The look on their face is so satisfactory because so many people had no idea that Christian Bale can sing and dance.
I'm Batman.
He was actually so embarrassed that it was a musical, he didn't even tell his friends about it. I don't know if he told them about it, but just did not mention it was a musical.
He said that I was in a movie called Interesting. Oh.
But I want to...
Great songs. I love them. I sung for days. So, I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay, up until The Greatest Showman that I discovered only last year. I know it's a lot older than that.
I still haven't watched it. I know a lot of people have told me to. And it's on my list. It is on my Disney Plus list. I just haven't put the play on.
Well, I listened to The Greatest Showman soundtrack for probably a good 6 weeks before I actually watched the movie.
I know Pink has that song that I've heard on it and stuff.
So and I literally listened to it on repeat every single day for those 6 weeks. I listened to that album about 9 times a day was my average.
Wow.
Okay?
A day, not the week, guys. A day. It's just a fantastic fucking soundtrack, and no soundtrack has come close to Newsies in years. So The Greatest Showman is a close second, but Newsies is still my absolute fucking favorite. I love this movie. And another side note, if you guys can't tell, we're actually once again in the same room.
Yes, we are. That's why you can hear both of us at the same level and at the same time.
And why we are so good at our syncing.
Yes.
And being sick this time. I know, yeah. So basically, Newsies. I guess you can kind of give the synopsis. It's your
actually
topic.
Before synopsis, we have a millennial moment.
I mean, I have millennial moments. And it's kind of funny because it is sort of a little bit in line with your upcoming birthday. Which is today. Or sorry, sorry guys.
Obviously, we're pre-recording this, but today, July 1st, is my birthday.
Yes. So, as I was watching this past week, I was going through and watching. So I watched a couple of movies. I watched Dan in Real Life, The Savages, and Wild.
Never seen any of them.
I know, and I hadn't either, and that's why I went back to watch them. So, Dan in Real Life is Steve Carell, and he has 2 kids, doesn't have a wife, and then he ends up falling in love with his brother's girlfriend or whatever. And then The Savages is 2 older children. Their mom's dead, and their dad is they have to put him in an old age home and things like that. And then Wild is with Reese Witherspoon, and she's going on the Pacific Crest Trail.
From Gilmore Girls, yeah.
Yeah.
Where Lorelai did the Wild Walk.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. So this is the actual movie of that particular girl.
Like a Booker movie.
And of course, they're all kind of in that 40 realm.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's funny because I was like, I found myself sort of, as I was watching some of these movies, some of the things were kind of feeling a lot more pressing and relevant to my life than some of these old movies. Like, I love my teenage movies because, there are teenage movies.
90s, early 2000s teenage movies were the best.
But I find that I'm not relating to them as much.
You're starting to realize that, like, you're seeing them as an adult and you're like, honey, you're making a poor decision. Right. And as a teenager, you're like, yeah, you go, girl. But then as an adult, you're like, yeah, bad decisions.
But then not only that, these ones, like I said, they have to put their parents in a home. This guy's starting a life with us, like trying to start life after this girl got, she cheated. She's trying to figure herself out. So she decides out of nowhere, she's like, I have no hiking experience, but I'm going to go on this freaking Pacific Crest Trail and hike the whole entire thing. Just because I got, and it's
because I got time.
Because I got time and I got to figure shit out. But also it turns out that her mom ended up dying of cancer, so she went on benders or whatever, and so she did, I guess, the hike to sort of find herself after all of this. But again,
which is what a lot of people do.
But that's exactly what I've heard. And then my mom's mom passed away recently. So again, it's like I feel like all of these were just sort of like
so relevant these days as you get older.
Right. I feel like I'm now relating more to these movies about 40-year-olds, or I guess now middle-aged. I don't want to say it, but yeah.
Depends on how long you live.
Exactly. Depends on how long we live.
50 could be your middle age.
Or 20 could be your middle age.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You have no idea.
But it just put in, I don't know, it was interesting to find myself relating to these older characters, or what I used to think of as older characters now. And these were all made in like 2007 too.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is I was in my 20s when these came out, so they're only about a decade or so old. But now all of a sudden, a decade later, I find myself relating to them because I'm approaching more into the 40s. And also my parents are in, their 60s, and you're starting to realize,
it's the same thing like when you rewatch shows from when you were a kid or movies from when you were a kid, and you see it from the adult's perspective now.
Yeah.
Like when we were talking about, in one of our first episodes, it was Mighty Ducks. And the mom is like, get off the ice. You're like, oh, total buzzkill, mom, thanks.
Right.
And as an adult, you're like, no, she had every right to be mad about that. That was dangerous. Like,
ice fell through water.
Yeah.
Bad.
So like, I totally understand, and I totally get it, because I do relate to a lot of the older women in the movies that we watch these days. So that's why I try to not watch those movies.
I know, but also at the same time, it also kind of sort of helps to soften the blow, I guess, as you start to kind of approach this. Because I know it sounds bad, but we do have to start thinking about our parents' unfortunate
I know
mortality.
My mom's going through a lot of health issues at the moment, and watching her just suffer through it is, and I can't fucking do anything about it.
And these are the people who are like our strongest people in our world.
All I can do is be there for her.
And you can't do anything that like they did so much for us, and you want to just do it back for them, but you can't. I know. So that it's weird growing up, guys. It's weird.
I've been wrestling with my mortality for a while.
Yeah.
I think since I hit probably about my mid-30s, around like for a few years now, I've been contemplating my own mortality, and it's way heavy, guys, and I just don't want to get into it right now. So I'm talking about my millennial moment.
Right.
And mine is okay. So everyone knows in October I'm getting married. So I was looking into this makeup that just, because I don't like my complexion, it's off, whatever.
Yeah.
So
sunspots, all that stuff we get wrinkles, lines. Yeah, all that stuff.
So everyone has seen this ad on their Facebook page come through. You've had to, about like that magical like foundation or whatever. Like you put it on, it's magically just matches your skin tone, and it looks really great and very smooth and all that. I'm not going to say the brand because, like, we're not doing sponsorships or anything.
Yep.
And I have never tried it because whatever. I did go to the website.
Too expensive?
Kind of, but
okay, all right.
Yeah, whatever. Actually, what I'm about to tell you is probably why I was turned off by it. So you go through this process of like, you have pictures of like, is this your skin tone? Is this your skin tone? Are you darker than this, lighter than this? Is this complexion? Do you have liver spots? Do you have freckles? Do you have this? And so whatever,
they can
right?
sort of,
So they can match your skin tone best perfect. And when it got to the age group question, the age group was like 18 to like 24 or something like that, and then 25 to like 30, 31 to 35, and then 36 to 50. A 15, like a 4 years, like a 4 to 6 years, 4 years, and then 15.
No, because I feel like as younger, it should be bigger age gaps, because your skin doesn't change when you're younger. You could have like an 18 to 30, and then it could be like 30, 35, 35 to 40.
Like
40.
I didn't put in my birthday or anything, so they didn't know exactly how old I was, but I'm obviously on the younger end of that gap of that group. But I was just, the fact that I was grouped in with the same age as 50, not that like 50 is bad. It's just, I'm already having a hard time with 40.
And you're adding me into a group of 10 extra years.
And I don't think it's necessary. Well, my issue with turning 40 isn't necessarily like, oh, I'm getting old, blah, blah, blah. It's the things you have to deal with when you get older. Yeah. Like losing your parents. Your friends and siblings start going as well.
Separate ways. Or even just people move to different provinces or different things in different stages of their lives. This is what I
mean by contemplating my mortality lately. Like,
or you're just contemplating...
Like, how am I going to handle this? Like, how am I going to handle getting old, and how am I going to handle getting shriveled? And I don't want to be a burden on anyone. And like, you know what I mean? That's why like I'm joining Aaron on his yoga journey and his lifestyle change and everything like that. Because like I do feel a lot better. I'll admit it. Like I like yoga.
Also, just like, any physical activity in general is what's going to keep you going for the longevity. Not just yoga specifically, but any kind of like, But
that was my moment. That was my fuck. I'm not ready to get old. So.
I know.
I'm not ready to see it. I'm not ready for it. Back to Newsies. Woo, Newsies!
So, synopsis.
So this movie is about the very real, it's loosely based on, the very real newsboys strike of 1899 where... William Randolph Hearst and all of his newspaper cronies all got together and he raised it first and then he convinced them to raise it too later on, to raise the price of buying newspapers to go and sell. So they had to buy them for like a half a cent for a paper.
It's like 100 papers for...
It's a half a cent per paper for them. Yeah. And then they go out and they sell it for a cent a paper.
Yeah.
And what they don't sell, they have to eat. So them raising it a tenth of a cent is a huge deal to these newsboys, and they decide to strike, and they get all the child labor involved and everything like that, and they go up against the huge big CEOs of the newspaper world or whatever, and it's a really great story. Hearst particularly
called the world as well,
and it's just I love the story. I love the movie. I know it doesn't actually depict what actually really happened in the newsboys strike in 1899, but it really watching it yesterday morning, like you said, Steph, it does ring true to a lot of things that are happening in our world right now. That is 123 years later, and this shit is still fucking happening when it comes to the cheap labor that like $8 an hour, $2 an hour to be a server in some states. What the fuck is that?
Denton specifically says at one point when he's
one of the characters.
One of the characters who's a news guy who's trying to help the newsboys get their story out because he doesn't work for one of those papers.
Yeah.
At first, his paper does eventually not want to cover it.
Yeah, his paper does eventually join the brigade against them.
Yeah, but he basically says that the reason why they won't print his article about them is because that the city fears the newsboys strike because then it can make its way out to everyone, and basically the city thrives on child labor, which back in the days was allowed. Not good, but it was allowed. And if we all know about our current society, our current economies thrive on cheap labor, whether it's bringing immigrants in and paying them dirt poor, whether it's places like in overseas that like force people to live on site and then they can't go home and they have to work all like. There's so much different within our fashion economies and all these different, like, especially fast fashion, oh my gosh, but anyways, tech sectors, all of these sectors, for us to produce our goods and services, basically, a lot of it is cheap or slave labor, and it's, well, not really slave, but very, very cheap labor that you'd almost feel like it would be slave labor.
It practically is slave labor because being poor is expensive.
It is.
Like, it really is, and it's, like, you can't afford to get your tooth fixed now for, like, $100. Oh, well, you're going to be paying $4,000 later to get a complete fucking root canal and whatever else work needs to be done.
Especially in the States, like, Canada, luckily for our medical, we're covered.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
But dental, we're obviously not. But in the States, when you don't have any of the medical
Well, dental's actually covered pretty good. It just depends on what you're getting done. I have pretty good coverage anyway for dental.
Through the province?
Oh, no, through my work.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You have to get it through a work.
Oh, sorry.
That's the thing.
Missed that part.
Yeah. No, but like OHIP. Everyone has OHIP. Everyone has medical, no matter what. You go to a hospital and get treated, but we can't all get treated for the dental. Under a certain age, they do.
Yeah.
Under 18, they're allowed
under
to.
18, yeah.
They get dental every so often for the checkups to make sure they have good oral health. And then once you're on your 18, you're on your own, guys. You're adults. Figure it out yourself.
Because really, your oral health is probably the most part of your body that you need to keep healthy. It's the gateway to all the other bad things that your body can handle.
And also cardiovascular health, because you want your heart to also be.
Yeah, that's why I do yoga.
However, not just yoga, guys, because I learned that the hard way. I have heart issues, and I was literally in the middle of working out and doing stuff, and I was still having heart issues. So it's also how your heart works, which mine turns out to be sodium. I need more of it. I didn't need enough. I know, weird.
I love sodium. Anyway, continue.
So, we are...
So, the first thing I want to say about Newsies is that you wouldn't be able to find it now unless you found a VHS copy of it from somewhere. I'm pretty sure my sister has it.
Up until Disney Plus.
What do you mean?
Because Newsies is on Disney Plus now.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, you said you can't find it anywhere.
No. This version.
Oh!
So,
okay.
On our VHS copy of Newsies growing up, before the movie, there was a PSA that had all of the actors from the movie playing basketball and shit. And this guy would fucking pull up in a limo, and he was in black and white, and all the guys were all in color.
Yeah.
And this guy would pull up from a limo in a nice fucking suit, well, 90s, nice for suit, and with a briefcase, and he called the kids over, and he goes, "Hey, you guys want to get high?" And they throw the basketball at the net or whatever, and they're like, "Get out of here. Like, we don't need you. Go peddle your stuff somewhere else," or something like that. It's so funny. It's such a fucking funny thing. And it's not on, like, my DVD copy or anything. It's not on the Disney Plus. You can't really find it unless you have, TikTok. Like, the old VHS copy.
Sorry, not on TikTok. It's on...
Are you looking for it?
YouTube.
Yeah.
Get a life, loser. So it is available on YouTube, and that was absolutely just so funny at the end there.
It's so funny.
But yeah, it did say on here VHS copy, and you can tell that it's a shitty grained version that's on YouTube, guys. So
yeah.
Clearly only available from the VHS.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure my sister has our copy of the VHS.
Yeah. So that's basically, movie kind of starts out showing the Newsboys' day, how they kind of get up. And obviously, of course, we've got songs throughout it.
Yeah. I love the opening scene where Max Costello, who plays Racetrack, is talking about, he says, like, in 1899, the Newsboys' voices rang out over the cities of New York. And he just goes on this thing about, he just explains what's happening.
Yeah.
And that the city thrived on child labor until one day all that changed. And his name was Jack Kelly, played by Christian Bale, 17-year-old, sings and dance. And when they're opening the movie and he's narrating it, they show a scene of like 3 or 4 like dirty young newsboys like laying on a statue.
Yep.
And I just think it's really cool to mention that Statue is of Horace Greeley. And he was a member of the Republican Senate who opposed slavery.
And on it says, "Go West, young man." And
he ran oh my God, I should have wrote it down. There was a popular newspaper that he did. The New York Journal, I think.
Okay.
I think. I'm not 100% sure. Google it. But, like, yeah, it was another, like, big name newspaper back in that time.
Yeah.
And that's who the statue is of. And I thought that was pretty cool. So then they introduce the boys kind of by, like, going to their home, which is a lodging house for basically homeless kids.
Yeah, homeless newsies.
Yeah, the most of them are newsboys.
Yeah.
And it's like, get up. When you gotta get up, you gotta get up.
New York Tribune.
The Tribune, yes.
Sorry.
Yes, the New York Tribune.
Anyways, go ahead.
Anyways. So the old man that runs the shelter is, like, waking them up, and this is kind of when they start their first song, Carrying the Banner. And Motherfucker is a great song.
And I'm sorry, there's one part that I've always kind of loved. The guy that says, like, they almost all knows how to read has such a great voice, but why isn't he a lead singer one?
Kid Blink.
Is it Kid Blink?
No, the eye patch.
Or maybe it's one of the other ones. There's one part where maybe it is. He didn't have an eye patch on in that part of the scene, though. Hold on.
What was the line again that he says?
I thought it was they almost all knows how to read, but maybe it was the next.
They almost all knows how to read.
Maybe it was the one after.
I smell money.
No.
You smell trouble. Get your what?
Hold on.
Met this girl last night. Move your elbow past the towel.
No, that's the guy. It's that one.
That's Henry from Party of Five.
Okay, that was the one it was.
That's Henry from Party of Five.
And he has such a good voice, but why doesn't he get more of, like, singing time in the movie? And so I've always been disappointed that he doesn't have more singing time, because I'm just like, it sounds like he has such a great voice.
He does have a really great voice.
Right?
And that is a shame, but they have so many people, like so many guys, so many boys, men, whatever.
But when your two main leads are kind of like, like, I'm just saying, like, in a nowadays kind of movie, they'd probably have someone who could sing act versus someone who's just a famous actor as a name, and then try to get them to sing, and they have a
Yeah, but they weren't even that big. Like, they specifically went for, at the time, quote unquote, no names for the lead roles, because Christian Bale wasn't really that well known. Neither was David Moscow.
Yeah, Christian Bale had a couple, but not.
I mean, the kid that played Les was like.
Then he also had Swing Kids at the same time as well.
And then
but they were
the kid that played Les was in The Wizard,
and later in Little Big League
and Hook. Pretty sure that was him in Hook. Home Run, Jack.
No, because that's the one who's from Can't Hardly Wait. And the kid from one was from Little Big League. Where he owns the baseball team because his grandpa gives it to him or something.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's the kid who's in it.
Yeah, I see the difference. I can picture it in my head.
It's the nose. That's what I know is the difference between them. They have a different nose.
But yeah, so they sing this song called Carrying the Banner while they
get ready.
And I think it's hilarious. I love the line. It took me for fucking ever to get it. Like, I probably watched this movie hundreds of fucking times before I understand this joke. And before they start singing the song, Mush, played by Aaron Laura, Mighty Ducks fame.
Yep.
He asks Jack, very topless in the scene, by the way, how he slept. And he goes, "On me back, Mush." And Mush goes, "Did you hear that?
On me back.
Did you hear that, fellas? I asked Jack how he slept, and he said, 'On me back, Mush.'" And I thought he always said, "On me bag, Mush." And I'm like, I never fucking understood. I was like, what is he fucking talking about? And then I heard it. I was watching it with subtitles for like the first time, and he said, "On me back." And I'm just like, oh, he slept on his back. Oh,
that makes sense.
Fuck. Lindy, you're stupid.
The things we realize later about how people say
like,
things,
past Lindy was so dumb. Like, I mean, present Lindy's not that much better anyway, either, but see? Words don't come out of my mouth properly, and I'm almost 30 fucking 9.
Right? That's how it goes.
That's how it goes.
So they go, so they basically go, we find out, like, so yeah, the whole kind of first song is just basically, like, then you see them
getting for work, and they leaving for work. They're on their way to work. They run into nuns who give them bread, and then there's a woman walking through them looking for her son,
You
Patrick.
just kind of learn their sort of day and stuff like. And then also there is a deleted scene as well from this one that's got like another verse.
Oh, it takes a smile as sweet as butter, the kind that ladies can't resist. It takes an orphan with a stutter who ain't afraid to use his fists.
Yeah, and then so I've seen the outcut take of like the video, like the scene video part of it.
I don't know if I've seen that,
but it's. I think they're jumping over. I think it's an extension of the part where they're jumping over
the barrels and shit, like between the alley
and stuff like that. Yeah, it's an extension of that.
Parkour before it was cool.
Right? Exactly.
Right.
So then at this point they end up meeting Davey. Like after the song finishes, they meet Davey, who is kind of their friend. Or becomes their friend.
Hold on. So the song ends and they get through the gate to go and buy their newspapers because it ends with like, "This is for the newsies." Right? And so they go and buy their papers and shit, right? And then Davey comes up and orders his 20 papers. He only gets 19. Fucking weasel, Mr. Rizel, was all like, "What, you calling me a liar, kid?" Like, I would have just turned them around, fucking count them. There's only 19 there. What did I do? Steal a paper and shove it down my pants while you're standing right fucking there?
Right?
Seriously. And then fucking Jack Kelly comes up, Mr. Christian Bale, and is like, "You know what? It is 19, but Morris can't count to 20 with his shoes on." That joke took me forever to get to.
Oh, Lindy.
Oh, my God.
Young Lindy.
This is why I rewatch movies so often, because, like, there's always something you miss the first 1,000 times.
Not the first 5, the first 1,000 times. Yes, absolutely.
And then this is where they meet Davey, because he's like, "Yo, spot me 2 bits," and he buys him like 50 more
he's
papes.
like, "I don't want your papes. Take them back,
We're
blah, blah,
business partners.
And so basically, because Davey's new to the Newsies realm, so Jack kind of takes him under his wing and is like, "I'll show you kind of how to do it."
Him and his younger brother, Les.
Yep, so they show him, and then they tell him, you got to kind of, Newsies don't sell papes, or headlines don't sell papes, Newsies sell papes. So he learns that the headlines is kind of what does it. You got to, because David's like, "These headlines suck," and he's like, "Exactly, that's not going to do it."
Baby born with 3 heads. I love that
and
one.
lots of New York fake accent, Brooklyn accents. Hoity-toity, me back, all of it.
Keeping in mind, Christian Bale is British.
Yes.
Like,
so, well, maybe he overcorrected though. Like, if you can't do like
I mean, it's not terrible. Like, their accents aren't terrible.
No.
They're pretty fitting.
They're just funny.
Do I forgot to mention? Okay, so in Carrying the Banner, they're talking about the kind of headlines that they need, right?
Yeah.
We need a good assassination. We need an earthquake or a war. How about a crooked politician? Hey, stupid, that ain't news no more.
Which, I'm sorry, that's always news.
But I'm just saying, over 120 years ago, crooked politicians has not fucking changed.
Or was it because they knew crooked politics, like when it was written?
What?
Because they wrote it in the obviously the song was written in the 90s, so maybe they put the line in knowing that there was crooked politicians, but I mean, still, I'm sure there probably was. Like, there's always rich, wealthy man who wants more and will do it in a skeevy way. You know this.
Yeah.
Seen it time.
Supreme Court. Sorry.
We'll talk about that one at the end. Yeah. But anyways, we'll go into that one at the end. So from there, we go to Medda, the Swedish metallark, and other stuff in between. But I just have to mention
and Margaret. The whole fucking day. They're selling newspapers all day. Like, they're there first thing in the morning.
Yes.
Until well after night.
You see them go back.
Parents were fucking worried.
Right? They don't stop. They don't work 8 hours like us or anything like that.
Yeah. So they're running from this guy that shows up while they're selling. His name's Snyder, and he is the warden of the boys' refuge, and we will get into that.
It's kind of like the kids' jail.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But they eventually outrun him, and they end up running into a theater that is owned by the Swedish meadowlark, Medda. And she is played by Anne Margaret.
Who I love. Anne Margaret, best, amazing. So
I think they nailed this character with her.
Yes.
She was awesome.
Like, just embodies, yes, this is so... what's new?
Hello, newsies. What's new?
Right? Like, she's so good. Love. It's good. Oh, Kelly. And then when she talks normal, you're like, oh. Yep.
Coochie with you.
And then later he's singing the song in bed.
Sleep. Oh, it's so funny.
And so then they go back to Davy's parents' place after the long day that is. His parents are a little worried, so they put
before that though, Jack does tell. Oh, I hit the microphone. Sorry. Jack does tell Davy his story though, that his parents are out west, and when they're looking for a farm or something.
Tells him a story, not his story, but a story.
A story.
We think it's his story.
That as soon as they're all settled down, they're going to send for him out in Santa Fe.
Yeah.
So then they get back to Davy's apartment with his mom and dad and their older sister, Sarah.
Sarah, who I find is kind of the most
played by Elle Keating,
annoying character.
I don't know. You know what? I felt the same way. Like later on, and I think the only thing that I think it's the scene where she gets attacked by Oscar and Morris.
For me, it was also just watching it again. Like when I was watching it again this morning, it was the scene where he's talking and they're doing what makes a good headline. Maybe it's her delivery or something.
Okay. And he's like, you gotta say catchy words like corpse or
and just
nude.
The way she's kind of seems blank face or something. I don't know.
I mean, she's good at in the scene on the roof, later on.
Right, later on, but
yeah, no, I get it. And I know I told you this before, but I have to mention it because we didn't have it recorded.
Yes.
That Mila Jovovich actually auditioned for this role, and when she had a chemistry read with Christian Bale, they found her to be too intense, which is why they brought Elle Keating in. And Elle Keating actually had a song, like a solo, in this movie, but her voice, I guess, registered too low, even lower than the guys. So they just didn't want to use it because it wasn't so...
Girls are supposed to have soprano voices.
It was written for a soprano. It's not that because her it wasn't a sexist thing. It was just written for a soprano. No, but also
at the time it was a lot of soprano voices were kind of that, like Disney girls. They were always So that's why they write them for sopranos.
Yeah,
and that's exactly, unfortunately, the problem.
Yeah,
they don't write things for us alto ladies. So then
that's okay. I'll just sing along to the other ones,
right? So then Jack ends up leaving their house and he sings
I love this song.
Santa Fe.
I love this song. That's what they call a family. When a daughter fought a son.
So he basically, he's never had a really family because we later find out that
it's so sad.
Jack's obviously his story about the parents in Santa Fe.
He's basically an orphan. His dad's in prison. His mom's dead. It's just.
And then he finally sees this kind of family dynamic for a while and kind of longs for a family. And it makes
him realize how much he wants a family.
Or wants at least something.
Yeah. And it really makes you feel for him, and it's so sad. And then he steals a guy's horse.
He does.
Yeah, and he does this dance move thing.
This weird freaking dance. Punches out the air and lassos. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, and then, the scene where he's on the horse and he's leaning back. Yeah. Right, like that. He's on the horse, riding on his stunt doubles or the horse trainer's shoulders. That's how they got that scene, that shot.
So there's two people high on a horse.
He's sitting on the shoulders of the guy riding the horse.
Yeah, two people high on the horse. Yeah. That's ridiculous. Oh my god, that's so unsafe.
I'm just like, how was that for them? Like for him to lean back like that? Like I'm wondering how the physics of that works.
Anyways, unsafe. Yeah. Unsafe is all I hear out of that. Someone falling really far.
But then he gets off he gets back to the lodge and meets Racetrack, and he's all like, that no one told the horse.
Yeah.
Hence why his name is Racetrack.
Right.
He was actually the oldest person.
Yeah, like 20.
I think he was like 26.
6 or something. Yeah.
Playing like a teenager.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, because he was also in Dookie Howser as well.
Yes, he was.
You would have remembered him from young NPH.
Yep. I didn't watch that show a lot, but I watched it.
I remember, yeah. I didn't either. I have to go back and watch it maybe. And then we also have, just because it's funny to mention, all of the bad fake scenery in these.
Take a drink.
So the back of the day there used to be
my god, you would
get a drinking game.
You would get so sloshed playing the Newsies drinking game, because not only do you have to drink every time they say the word Newsies, which is literally 6 times a fucking scene, you also had to drink when you would see fake scenery, which was in literally every other scene.
Yeah.
So let's just say by the second song you're fucking sloshed and should probably go to the hospital and get your stomach pumped.
Right.
Just saying.
Yeah,
That's super fucking fun.
It was definitely no good. And then from here, the next day.
Well, the next day is when they find out that the price was risen by 1/10%.
So then they all get mad. This is kind of where we basically sort of start to band together. So like, yeah.
Well, because Jack and Davey are kind of talking, and Jack's like,
we can't do this. We can't do this to us.
We need to stand up to this. Like, so then Jack has the idea of like banding the Newsies together and making a union. And this is where the song The World Will Know comes in, which is another great fucking song. And again, didn't get it because I was little, because I was about 9 when this movie came out, okay? So from 9 till probably like 15, I didn't know when they were talking about the world that they were talking about a newspaper. Not the world.
I know, yeah.
They were talking about a newspaper. And I'm just like, how does someone own the world? How does Joe, because in the song they say like, Pulitzer may own the world, but he won't own, own us.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but he doesn't own the world. The world isn't owned by anybody. Like, it's all of people have it.
And
like,
then later on you're like,
and then I'm just like, oh my god, it's a newspaper.
God
damn it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So then they ban the unions, and then they go out to all the different places. So who wants to go to Brooklyn? Anyone from Brooklyn?
So, Spot Conlon makes us a little nervous.
So
shout out Arby Lowe Jr.
So Spot Conlon, he don't make me nervous, so I'll go out to Brooklyn.
And
so
you'll come with us too.
So basically, they send out these feelers to all the different boroughs in New York City. Ambassadors. Out to
Ambassadors. We need some of those. Ambassadors? Yeah, ambassadors.
To go and help them. So they send them out to all of the different boroughs, try and get the other newsboys at least on their side. Brooklyn kind of doesn't really want to join at first.
Because Spot Conlon is like their leader, and he's like tough as fucking balls, and he's tiny. If you seen original RoboCop, he's the kid in that. That's who fucking Spot Conlon is. Gabriel, whatever his last name is. Yeah. But my sisters had such a fucking crush on him. And then I remember when I watched this in like middle school with Crystal. She actually eventually had a big crush on him. She'd call him my brookie. I always remember my brookie. Where's my brookie? I liked what was his name? I forget what his name was, but he was the cute kid with the curly hair that sang the line or how about a crooked politician when he's swinging along the lamppost. Okay, yeah. I had a crush on him when I was little because I thought he was really cute. That's funny. But then as I got older, I was like, I noticed Aaron Lore's torso, and damn. How did I not know about his marriage to Idina Menzel? How did I not fucking know about that? Because that was like 2017, and I guess you weren't. I don't know. The fuck did I not know about that, motherfucker? Because you clearly your algorithms were not picking up either of them, so it obviously didn't give you the information. So you didn't search them enough recently. That's the problem. I guess that was your problem. Anyway, so beyond that, after they sing, so they go to Brooklyn. Spot or I just have crutchy boots. Jack and Davey go to Brooklyn to try to convince Spot Conlon to join the thing. And they're all the newsboys, like they go across the Brooklyn Bridge and then they walk across the other bridge and they're like jumping in the river and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, it sucks that you can't do that now. Even if legally you were allowed to, which you can't, which is stupid. You wouldn't want to because it's fucking filthy.
Right.
But yeah, I was just like, hey, like, going somewhere, Jackie boy?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what of it? Fuck you. Punch him in the water.
Right? It's not your town.
Yeah.
Like,
I want to go see Spot. Whatever.
But
so inevitably, Davey tries to convince Spot about it, but Spot inevitably says that, like, he needs to kind of see it before he'll believe it. So he's wondering if they're going to run the first time someone comes at them with a crowbar or whatever.
Yeah, they're not actually going to be a union or this group
They're not going to actually stick together and pull this off or whatever, or see it through. So that's when Jackie goes back and talks to the rest of the group and whatever, and then they have to go take their demands to Pulitzer.
Yeah.
He takes less, try to soften him up a bit.
Didn't work, of course.
Didn't work.
Because, of course, he's a wealthy man, so he wants to intimidate these young children. Very easy. It's not hard. You know, all kids are intimidated usually by adults.
Yeah. I do have to give it up to his right-hand man, Sykes.
Yeah.
Because he actually wanted the kids to succeed.
Yes.
It was subtle, but you could see it.
Yeah.
So good for you, Sykes.
You could tell he was kind of like, but the kids, you know, they put out a good paper. They put out a
when
facts,
at the end, when Pulitzer tells Sykes to send for the police, he doesn't.
Right.
He just stands there.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like,
you go, Sykes, thanks. But yeah, so they get, I guess, like, kicked out. Because that was when, while he's in there talking to Pulitzer, because they don't actually show the conversation, that is when Denton comes up and meets David. He's like, David, as in David and Goliath.
And so then...
sense the sexual tension.
Yeah, they had
Drink.
They had some weird kind of awkward glances or something. I don't know why why it came off that way. It just really did. It was kind of funny. It
really does.
Same with Snyder's obsession with Jack.
Yes.
Comes off very weird and creepy and like
I want to wear your face kind of creepy.
Right?
Like, just
Snyder's
it might be just his look, and I think that's what they were going for, because he is very creepy.
Yes. And it works, but it's just you're watching it and you're like, he's got some weird crazy, like he always goes crazy eyes whenever they talk about Jack.
Crazy eyes.
Crazy eyes.
Eyes? They're crazy.
So always. And then so basically, yeah, there lots of stuff is starting to ensue. The only thing I have here is there's one part where they basically get in a fight. They're trying to the scrap.
The scrap at the end, we didn't talk about at the end of Carry the Banner. The very first song where they fucking get chased. He gets chased around the fucking square by Oscar and Morris.
Oh,
because he insults him by like flipping his hat off.
Yeah, we can't talk about everything. We do have a limited time.
But I have to say. Well, dear me, what is that in
unpleasant
aroma? I fear the sewer man backed up during the night. Nah, too rotten to be the sewer. Must be the Delancey brothers.
Yeah, so
they work for Wiesel.
So at one point, basically, all the scabbers are coming out, and they're trying to, like, you know, show them, like, guys, we have to show a united front against these people. So they have a fight. The Newsboys have a fight with the scabs.
Which are just the Newsboys who won't join their union.
They won't join the union, but they'll call them scabs. And being Morris and them is also some of them because they work for Wiesel. So they're, of course, not going to join the union. Never. Mm-hmm. And then most of them, so then the Bulls come. And then most of them get out, except for, unfortunately, Crutchy doesn't make it out.
Yep.
And then they take him and they rough him up a little bit. So Jack and Davey try to go and take him they put him in the refuge and they go to try to get him out that night.
Yeah, so at this point is where Jack tells Davey that the refuge is a jail for kids, and basically they make sure that their cells are constantly full, because the more kids they have, the more money the government sends to them to take care of them, and the more money Snyder sticks in his pockets and greases the palms of his political buddies, whatever, the judge. We'll get to that. So this is where Jack is telling Dave this, and then David asks the dumbest fucking question. Well, why do you have the rope? Why do you think they have the fucking rope? You're gonna fucking break Crutchy out. Like, seriously, you're stupid. How are you the head of a union? God.
It's more Jack, but, you know.
Yeah,
anyways.
It's more Jack. But anyway.
Well, Jack's the face. Davey's apparently behind the
brain.
Scenes. Whatever.
Brain with a mouth.
Brain with a mouth, yeah. So, yeah, Jack, they try to get him out, and they're like, oh, Crutchy, you know.
Yeah, he hangs him down. Jack repels down from the ceiling to the window of the room that the Crutchy is in. And the kid that comes to the window, he's like, the Gimp, I'll get him.
Like the Gimp. And obviously he's really good friends with Crutchy for probably a long time, so he was saying, like, oh yeah, we're gonna get you out of here, and he's like, I don't know if I can go like this time because they really roughed me up this time. And I had to just note that, like, the look on Jack's face when he heard that, like, you could just, he's like, oh, I love it. Like, this guy's my brother. And
you could see
the care.
His thought was like, I fucking failed to protect my friend.
Yeah.
That is what the look said to me.
Yes.
And kudos Christian Bale.
Right? Because you're just like, he loves this guy, and it's their friends, and
And same with the look on his face. Marty something, who plays Crutchy.
Yeah.
Like, he played that part really well too.
Yeah.
Like,
and so he's like, okay, well, you stay here, and we'll let you stay here because let you kind of heal up. I
want
guess
nobody carrying me.
Yeah, because he's
he
a proud
carrying him.
Proud quote unquote gimp, as the kid said.
So, but then the warden showed up and they had to go.
So they had to go. Yep. Yeah. And so I think so. The next day we have a reprise of "Seize the Day," I believe. So yeah, they do their own little reprise of "Seize the Day."
Yeah, and then they end up linked at the end of the song. They're linked arm in arm in front of the gate to the newspaper place where they go get their newspapers.
And in this one, it was just Davey can't dance. He's always showing
he's so on step all the time. It's so funny.
Because it's
why they don't have barely have any close up shots of him.
Or if they do have a close up shot, it's like behind Jack almost, so you can't really see him, but not really. Yeah, it was hilarious. And there's no wide shots of him. Usually, he's always like cut off to the very left of the screen or something.
But I add, all the choreography was done by the director Kenny Ortega.
Yes,
he also did like Hairspray and
he's done a lot.
My High School Musicals, all the High School Musicals, I think. He's huge.
He did a bunch of stuff before that as well. Yeah. And also, I know Kevin was saying about how if we were to make there was a lot of when they're doing the dance sequences, like they were kind of not fully in sync, whereas
not completely on
timing and in sync and everything. Whereas versus nowadays that would not fly.
Yeah,
they would have to be in sync and this and or else they'd redo it and everything. And I'm like, that's kind of an interesting point.
Yeah. I think that's fascinating.
Kind of just making them also just showing them that they're just a bunch of newsboys, rough and tough band thing.
I also think that that's the magic of this movie as well, is its roughness. Like it was a flop when it opened. It was Disney's biggest
flop,
major motion picture flop, or real life motion picture, whatever.
Yeah, because there was.
But it made back its budget in a cult following once it hit at home release
DVDs, and then later it became a musical.
And then it became a musical on Broadway, which I saw it like 4 years ago this July.
I have not seen it yet.
And
I saw them perform songs of it at Disneyland.
Yeah, I went with my sisters and my nephew. He loved it. He still loves it. He still listens to it.
Yeah.
And we have matching shirts. I didn't wear it today, obviously, but still. And I have the tote bag too that says Newsies on it. I saw the newspaper that they handed out to, and I got that too.
That's funny.
But the Broadway is good. I liked the Broadway for what it was.
Yep.
They changed a lot of it.
Yes, I do know that a lot of it is changed.
And a lot of the songs, some of the songs were still the same, but some of the lyrics changed in it, so it completely threw me off. When I was singing along to it, I'm like, they sing different words. I'm just like, don't look at it, don't compare it, just enjoy it for what it is. Because if you compare, it's gonna just ruin it for you.
Yes.
So just enjoy it for what it is.
I enjoyed that when I was watching the Aladdin musical as well.
Kind of like The Cursed Child. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
I haven't read it.
Oh, you haven't read it?
No.
I've read it, and I really want to see the play.
Yeah.
It's in Toronto now.
I know it's in Toronto, and I did want to go see it. I was debating on getting tickets.
So many people hated it and everything. I'm just like, you know what? I understand why people hated it. I do. I get it. But I still really liked it for what it was. The writing was still good. The script was good. It was still good. But I understand why people hated it.
Diehard fans are always going to be like that, though.
I'm not going to defend it to anyone because it's my own personal opinion about something.
Right. You're like I said, any fandom, you're always going to get some. If someone does an offshoot, or if there's something that's after the originals, people always.
Yeah. And I'm like that too.
Yeah,
I'm like that too.
That's right. It's part of the fandom. When you're a diehard fan, you don't want people touching or messing with the. Yeah, we get it. It's just the fandom.
That's why when I find out if something's coming out and it was based on a book. Now, I used to want to read the book first and then watch it. Now I'll watch it and then read the book because I know the book's going to be better. 99% of the time.
Well, that's actually kind of how I originally got into the Harry Potters, which is funny. I saw the 2 movies first and then I went back and read the books.
Is what it is.
Yeah.
Moving on, Newsies.
So we get back to here I have mine as Hearst Rich Boys Clubs try to stop the Newsies using their wealth and power.
Yeah, this is where Pulitzer brings in William Randolph Hearst and all the other bigwigs like the Sun and New Yorker and all that, all the big newspapers back then. He brings them all together to agree to not print any stories about the Newsboys strike. And then I think he also convinces them to raise their prices too.
I think he convinces them to raise the prices first, and then or maybe it is at the same time, because then Denton comes by and says that he can't.
I should know, I've seen it 1,000 fucking times, but yeah.
So Denton, basically Denton's also at one point told not to. By his
write
editor,
about it,
He had wrote the article, but he couldn't publish it.
No, because he did write an article about them.
And he becomes war correspondent.
It was when it was during the fight at the. Oh no! Wait, hold on. Because after I'm trying to. Okay, no, I'm just trying to think of where we are, because that's like way.
Oh, I feel like at this point we're just sort of talking about things at this point.
Oh, well, okay. Well, because we were going in order the whole fucking time. So.
Well, most of it we were, but jumping a little bit here.
Because I'm just trying to think of, like, because I
know we didn't talk about King of New York. Exactly.
No, I know, because that was when they had the fight with the fucking, Racetrack calls them the critics. And they're basically just a group of men that the newspaper company hired to come out of the fucking gate with chains and crowbars and weapons and shit like that to beat up a bunch of fucking kids. Because these kids want rights, that is
Again, that's how much the power, that's how bad these people relied on child labor.
So the Newsboys, jump into it. They fight left, right, and center, and then all of a sudden, all of the fucking Brooklyn guys start popping up from the top of rooftops.
Yep.
And Spot Conlon comes sliding down some fucking zip line or whatever. His stunt double being twice Gabriel's size, by the way. Big manly arms, and then this handshake. I'm like, his arms are not that big. That was totally his stunt double. But yeah, Brooklyn shows up and they win the fight, and that was when Denton took the picture of them and it ended up in the paper, and that's what led to King of New York. Yeah, which is one of my favorite fucking songs. I love that fucking song. I don't think I have a favorite song because I just love all of them.
Right?
I do. I listen to these songs still almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, and then they end up having a rally for all the newsboys at Metis Theater as well. Yeah. I know I'm probably jumping ahead. But that does have, and this part, I just remember that I watched it behind the scenes, and the dress that Sarah's wearing is actually from 1890s. Yep. And she had to be sitting most of the time. Because it was so
delicate.
And they were too afraid of it breaking or anything like that to avoid any damage. And then I find it funny when they're running through, Jack goes outside, knocks a guy off the horse, but doesn't bother to take that horse. He had, the way he's standing, he had perfect opportunity to jump onto the horse, but he doesn't. He just decides to, he gets put after a bit. He just kind of stands and then gets pushed down and then runs inside or something like that. But he had prime opportunity to have jumped on that horse. 100% he could have. And Cowboy is his nickname. Come on.
I never thought of that. Nope. See, there you go. 1,001 times.
1,001 times. Now I have to see that next time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to watch that again. But yeah, so the rally, because right before the rally, Ward and Snyder went to Pulitzer and told him who Jack Kelly actually was, Francis Sullivan. He was a wanted criminal or whatever, or escapee from because he escaped from the refuge on
Teddy Roosevelt's carriage.
Under the carriage of Teddy Roosevelt's carriage. That was his escape was infamous. Yeah. And
Roosevelt in the carriage?
Yeah. So Snyder went to Pulitzer, and I don't know how they found out about the rally or whatever, and they basically infiltrated the rally while it was going on to arrest Jack. Yeah. And instead they arrested 20 some odd of the newsboys.
Well, they do arrest Jack and then
including Jack, yeah.
So they go on first, and Denton ends up paying theirs, but because Jack was special and the leader, they put him under a different trial.
Okay, just a second. So Denton pays the $5 fine each for these kids. I counted in the scene about 21 to 22 kids that I could see on the screen. In today's dollar amount for total all of them, that would be well over $5,000.
Well, I mean, he is a reporter, so if he's working for an infamous, probably making not too bad cash. But so
And so in this scene, you really see that the warden and the judge are friends. Yep. Right. And then this is where the warden tells all the newsboys Jack's secret identity is actually Francis Sullivan, and that his father's in prison, and they're not out west, and they're not in Santa Fe, and
so he
lied,
he ends up going and working for.
Yeah, he basically became a scab because he was blackmailed to.
Yes,
because they were gonna go and take care of Davy's family if he didn't.
Yeah, so he becomes a scab to help save Davy, and then Davy gets mad at him because he's a scab, not realizing it's to save him.
Money in my pocket, real money.
Yeah, and so that lasts about a day,
and it only ends because
Sarah,
Jack overhears Sarah screaming because Oscar and Morris are attacking her.
They were attacking her, trying to get at Davy because they're like, "Oh, where's your brother?"
Yeah.
And then they attack her, and Les is also
she at least fought back. She punched him.
She did punch him. She tried to run away. Even when they were like there, she's still trying to fight at them. And then Jack
Davy does jump in, and then Jack eventually
Davy comes first. Then Jack
and then Jack jumps in. He's like, "Remember Crutchy?" Headbutts him
twice. This is for Crutchy, and the other one too. So twice for Crutchy.
Headbutting someone. My God. Jinx. So, I guess, and then Davy was like, after the fight or whatever, Morris and Oscar ran away and was like, Uncle Wiesel's gonna hear about this. And
he's like, how come you did that for me? And he's like, because of something, I can't be something I ain't.
And he's like, what, a scab? And he goes, like, no, smart. So So
then this is when they go to
because earlier Sarah found
the article
that Denton wrote about
wrapped up in
and this is the article
like a hot dog in a bun or something like that Les puts away.
Les used the paper. Les used the paper to save it. The hot dog did not put it in anything cold, so ugh. And she finds it in a dresser drawer like a fucking week later. So anyway, this article is the one that we were talking about at the beginning where Denton writes about the city thriving on child labor.
Yep.
And I should have fucking taken a picture of it, but as I was watching Newsies and someone, I'm not going to say who because we haven't gotten to that part yet, when someone was reading the newspaper, they showed an up-close shot of it, and I paused it. I read the whole thing because I do that. And it was very interesting read. I highly suggest when you watch Newsies to like pause it at this time. Anyway, so they find that article, so they go to Denton and they go, "Did you really mean all of this? What you said about us, about me being a leader, and how
the city thrives on
the Newsies are gonna listen to me?" And
and this is where they said that the city thrives on child labor, and this newsboy strike could also fare into the sweatshops and stuff, and basically kill
the economy
and
basically
force the kids either having laws, rights, blah 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 blah, things like that. And so they're like, this is the one thing that they do fear this more than anything else.
Yes,
because they have wealth and power, and you have nothing to lose. He doesn't say it, but that's essentially what it is. The Newsies have nothing to lose.
Yeah, so they
can keep fighting, and then whereas these guys, he can't keep spending all of his money the guy says that to him. You can't keep trying to spend your money trying to beat the Newsies.
Yeah.
I can't remember who says that to him.
It's Davey. He says you're losing thousands of dollars a day to try to beat us out of one lousy 10th of a cent. Why? Yeah. But we'll get to that.
Okay.
So at this point, they're talking about doing their own newspaper and
to go out to the sweatshop kids to try and ban everyone else. They make a newspaper.
So just so happens Jack knows a guy with a printing press, and because he's staying in the basement of the newspaper place where they pick up their papers in the morning, he's staying in the basement, and there is an old printing press in the basement because good old Joe Pulitzer doesn't ever throw anything away. So, what I find funny is when they get down there and Sarah is like, "This is where you've been living?" And he goes, "Shh, they're right upstairs." Yet then they run a really loud fucking printing press. Like, what the fuck? Anyway.
Maybe when they first got down there, they hadn't left yet.
Maybe. I don't know. But anyway, so.
Because it takes a long time to set up those, like, words and stuff. Yeah. Like, I remember when we were watching it, Kevin looked at it, he's like, fuck, that would take forever.
Thank God for today's technology.
Right?
But the song they play for this scene, Once and For All, is also, again, one of my fucking favorites and still relates to this day about our day and age at the moment. Sorry,
No, it's okay. My legs are there.
Keep grazing your leg. So they sing that they go knocking on doors and they hand it to every single person in the poverty line, basically in that like area kind of that can read.
All the sweatshops, all the sweatshops, boys,
any kids they see, and
they even say like, "Can you read first?" Because a lot of the kids aren't educated. Yeah. So they had to find the ones that could read to read it, and to the rest of the kids in the shop.
Yes. So like basically, if they saw a kid, they handed them one of these papers, and they threw them from rooftops, and like they blanketed the city with the Newsies banner is what they called it.
Yeah.
And then Denton takes a copy to Theodore Roosevelt, who is at that time the state's governor.
Well, we kind of don't 100% know.
We don't know it's him yet.
He just takes it to an authoritative figure, and he's like, I've done nothing for this.
Those poor boys.
Yes.
And I knew nothing or something.
I knew nothing. I've done nothing or something.
And Jeeves, get to my coat. So, and so that's where I paused it when he gave Roosevelt the paper. So then they wait in the square the next morning, because in the paper it gave them like kind of like a meet time and place. And so they're waiting in the square, and they're just like, I guess no one's going to show up. And then Les starts singing, if the circulation bell starts ringing, will you hear it? No. Nah, you know? Yeah. And then all of a sudden you hear all of this, the child labor.
When you got 100 voices.
A million.
Well, originally in the song it's 100.
Yes. But when it goes, when you got a million voices singing, who can hear a lousy whistle blow? And the world will know. This part of the movie is my absolute fucking favorite, because it gives me, you're already getting goosebumps, right? Because it gives me the chills, because it just is so amazing to see so many kids at that age knowing their rights and fighting for it,
too,
and banding together and doing it, and it's fantastic, and it gave me chills, and I loved it. Here's
the thing: we've always had that. That's never not been a thing. Look at, like, I know Greta Thunberg and all this stuff. Like all the kids when it came to the Lakeland Parkland, whatever, Florida shooting. Like there are countless times, and again, where these kids keep stepping up to try and fight. But the problem is unfortunately in our current economy or economic status versus what was back then, they keep getting fucking pushed down, unfortunately. But we do always have
to stand up higher and speak louder and shove it in their faces.
But we clearly know that we can't. This is actually a question I have posed later. So in this, Jack basically goes to Pulitzer and says, he's like, oh, whose press
did you use? That's when him and Davey go up.
Yeah, but basically says the power of the press. Like, you taught me that. The power of the press.
Taught me, yeah.
So I had a question that I posed, because as you're saying in this, can this still work in the same manner in our current social media age? Could people, like, we all know that there's a cause. We just currently went through it. COVID, masking, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
About trying to fight something or whatever like that, and we still can't band together. So it gave me an interesting kind of thought to think about. Like, I don't know, like, does the power of the press work in the same way 100 and some odd years later in our social media press, where it could possibly be fake media you're seeing media up to date, or you're seeing it, like, you see the same 15 articles in 2 seconds, so you're like, okay, I'm over this. I don't want to, it becomes
oversaturated.
Yes. Yeah. So does the power of the press work anymore? That was an interesting question.
Do you know what? That's really hard to answer, because, I want to be absolutely honest,
#Free Britney
worked.
So that's what I mean. Like,
yeah,
I was very. That's what I said. I was very intrigued
on what the topic is. I think it depends on what the cause is. And to be perfectly honest, what's going on in the States right this moment, that was past fucking a week ago when this is recorded, but yesterday for us. The whole Roe versus Wade being overturned, I don't know. Like, it works for Free Britney, and it works for a lot of other, I think it works for a lot of other things, but for something like super important like that, I don't know, because it's that type of decision is out of the public's hands. So they can't really influence the old white guys that already have their minds made up.
This movie basically indicates where the USA is at. Wealthy white men think or are controlling our countries, and they're big fucking white boys clubs, and we need to fight against them. And that's why I was like, about this whole Roe versus Wade, or any just topics, like we had the Black Lives Matters, because again, unfortunately, that was mostly white man.
Up here in Canada, the Indigenous people's lives, all those children that they're finding in the graveyards of old residential schools, like,
and then now women's rights
breaks for them.
And now women's rights in the States are being
taken. The world's falling apart, and I honestly can't fucking wait for that asteroid.
Yeah, no, I don't want to die.
I don't either, but I don't see the world getting any fucking better. I'm trying to stay positive, especially for my kids, but it's really hard. It's like the world is heartbreaking right now. We are this fucking close to a Handmaid's Tale fucking future.
What I think ultimately needs to happen is just literally a whole entire, no one wants it, but a whole entire fucking
reboot of humanity.
Somehow the rich economy just needs to crash somehow. All the fucking rich people just somehow need to crash and lose their money, or because then that's what it is they don't learn. Like, And once you become so high, like, I understand some of these people, not a lot, like some of like the Rockefellers where you just fucking are born into wealth, it's totally different. But say someone like Oprah or someone who like,
who earns it,
and they are really good. But then after a certain point, when you're so long into the power and stuff, not that you're not still for those causes because it's what you grew up in, but you almost don't see it the same way as the people that are now still living in them in the ways. Like, you still want to advocate for them, yes. But also, you're so far out of touch after a certain point as well.
You no longer fight for them as hard as you had before.
Yes.
They kind of get pushed to the wayside for other things, different projects, different events.
Or you'd fight in a different way. Like, just...
No, I get it. Like, it's hard. That's why I really think that there needs to be a cap on how much wealth one person can have.
Is allowed to have, yes.
Because, I mean... Every billionaire on the planet
can... much.
Every billionaire on the planet right now put enough money towards fixing homelessness, hunger, and the oceans in our world, the whole world, they could still call themselves billionaires. That's why it's disgusting. Because they're hoarding all this wealth when they can make the world such a better place.
Right there is the word. Hoarding.
They're fucking hoarding.
They're hoarders. They're just... Literally, I'm pretty sure if these people weren't fucking worth the money, their houses would probably be filled with fucking shit.
Yeah.
They'd be a hoarding in different... unfortunately, extreme wealth is literally just another level of hoarding, but it's the socially accepted version.
So, like, people like fucking...
Of hoarding.
Who's the ex-wives of Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos who donated... millions and millions.
So Jeff Bezos, no, but actually,
didn't Jeff Bezos?
No, he did. But Bill Gates actually, not right now as in alive, but he's actually signed a thing with a bunch of other millionaires that once they die, at least I think 50% or more of their wealth goes to this charity that gets distributed around.
Well, I guess that's a good thing.
But they have to die, obviously. But there's a bunch of millionaires to help solve the world. A bunch of them kind of went into this, but some of them donate before they die. But this is like, as they die, they've all put this kind of pact together. You can find it online somewhere. I can't remember what it's called.
My favorite would be billionaire is Dolly Parton. She's not a billionaire because she donates so much. That's the only reason she's not a billionaire. And I love Dolly Parton.
If you think about it, 40, 50 years ago, billionaires weren't even a thing.
I know.
It didn't even exist.
I know. And now
prior to the internet. Prior to the internet, dear. Because that's really what it was when the IPOs and stuff and all of or not the IPOs, when the big original tech launches started happening, the dot-com bubble, that's what it was. We started really getting excessive wealth and stuff. And
did I hear news of someone becoming the world's first trillionaire?
No, Jeff Bezos is on track to have, or his company was on track to have been like a $1 trillion company.
Because once it gets to being trillionaires, that's when I'm like, oh, fuck.
There's no fucking reason. There's no...
Just fuck.
It wasn't even a concept 50 years ago. So why?
Like in that scene of fucking... Austin Powers, where Dr. Evil asked for $1 billion, and he's like, well, why did you just ask for a flippity jillion dollars? Because $1 billion doesn't exist.
That's what he does. Like once I think it's in the third one, that's actually what he asks for. It's like, 1 billion, gajillion, $1,000,000,000. Because he couldn't figure out what the next ones were.
Yeah.
And I remember in the 90s, that was it. We'd be like, oh, $1 billion, gajillion.
Remember when $1 million was enough? Remember Bare Naked Ladies telling us that $1 million was enough?
I'd be rich.
Liars.
I know. I keep joking with Kevin now. We listen to that song and be like, if I had $1 million,
you would not be rich.
I'd be well middle class.
You'd be well off.
No, you're not even well off. You're middle class.
That's fucking gross. Oh,
you're middle class.
Give up the grudge. $90K a year buys nothing but complaints. Does now, because apparently that's not even middle class.
70. They say what people should be making to live minimally is 70,000. That is what people should be living like right now, based on to afford what rent should be and things. Everyone should be at minimum making 70,000. Minimum, everyone.
Yep.
And we know that, and so that's why I said you
Fucking
think a
gross.
millionaire. That's like I said, millionaire's basically middle class. If 70,000 is what's supposed to be a minimum,
just above the poverty line,
right? Almost.
That's so fucking gross. Oh my god. Okay, let's get back to fucking Newsies before I get sick of stuff. So they go into their meeting, and Davy and Jack are talking to Pulitzer, and la 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 la, and this is when he tells him that he used Pulitzer's press and thanking him for teaching him about the power of the press, and it's a really powerful scene.
I didn't think I'd have a chance to thank you, so thank you.
I think it's because he demands to know whose press he used.
I put a ban on news strikes. Who did this? Who defied me?
It's a very powerful scene, and Robert Duvall is amazing as Mr. Pulitzer.
Like, it made me hate Robert Duvall for a while because this guy did it so well.
And like I said, powerful scene, really good. You should just watch it. And so then Jack and Davy come out. They don't say anything. Jack whispers something into Les's ear, throws Les on his shoulders, and they go, "We beat him!" And everyone cheers and la 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 woo! And just super awesome, exciting, celebrating. Steph's got goosebumps again because it's so good.
So good.
And then lo and behold, through the crowd, what do you see? Prison car number 17 with Snyder in the front coming through the crowd.
Which I didn't notice it until I was watching it today. His hands are like kind of already sort of like his kind of already sitting, but I never noticed it previously.
But that's why it's shot.
Yeah.
I was watching it yesterday and I was just like, they shot that because of that.
Yeah.
And so basically Jack tries to run and Denton is like, you don't have to run anymore, not from the likes of him. And they cut to the police letting all the kids out of the back of the paddy wagon because they're being freed from the refuge, and Crutchy's the last one off. And who else goes back in but Snyder? And I love Crutchy's comment to him. He goes, "Remember, Mr. Snyder, make friends with the first thing you do in jail, make friends with the rats. Share what you got in common."
Right.
And so Snyder goes in and Crutchy gets to shut the door and everyone cheers because, evil Snyder is going to fucking jail. It's great.
And then, so one interesting thing missed previously was that scene with the only good scene of Sarah, other than this.
Were they on the rooftop?
Were they on the rooftop?
Oh, we totally missed that.
We did miss it. And because
where he's like boxing with the stockings.
And all of that, because particularly in that scene, he does say to Sarah that it's never mattered to anyone whether he stayed or he went.
Mm-hmm.
So at
that
the end,
is particular to hear
when Roosevelt, eventually they see Roosevelt coming through the crowd at the end. And then he's like, Denton's like, well, I talked to him and he can give you a ride anywhere you want to go.
Because Crutchy comes in and he goes, "Oh, you should have seen it." And he goes walking in with a band of lawyers and his cane waving around. And
he's like, who did?
Your friend, him, Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And then racetrack, and he's like, "Roosevelt?"
So basically Roosevelt's like, he'll take you anywhere.
He'll take you anywhere you want to go. He's like, can you drop me at the train yards? I'm like, now all of a sudden he has money to go to the train yards to fucking go to Santa Fe.
Yeah, because he had money in his pocket from being a scab. Come on,
I guess.
As we said, money.
I'm sure he would have spent it by now. I was sure he would have.
Maybe not. Well, no, he's too busy printing a newspaper and giving them out.
Yeah, I guess so.
And I'm sure
I stand corrected.
I'm sure Davy's family would have given him more soup. Oh, like, come on. Put more water into the soup, huh?
Yeah. And that's another reason why Davy and Les were doing the Newsies thing. That's why the union thing started, because his dad was not protected by a union and he got hurt at work and got fired.
Yeah. And
Thank your labor laws now.
And their kids had to go out and work.
So Davy and Les had to leave school to go make money.
And Sarah mentioned she has a job at one point.
She has to get ready for work, yeah.
Yeah. So Roosevelt basically
I'll take you anywhere.
Goes to take him. And then, so they see Jack go out of sight, and they're all kind of sad.
Like, he didn't say goodbye, and so, he gets in the carriage, and him and Roosevelt, drive off into the distance.
All the kids are sort of sad that he's gone.
And then they start another rendition of Tri-Valley or the Harbor, Tri-Central Pockets.
And then, eventually they hear more cheering again.
And here you see Roosevelt's carriage coming back to where they're already standing in line to buy newspapers because they're newsies.
Yeah, because Davy goes in and buys 100 papers for back to the normal price. Then
because he didn't want the extra 50 papes at the beginning, so now he's taking 100 papes, for Jack. And I love how throughout the movie Davy's outfit gets more and more newsies, because when he first started,
he's very
prim and proper. He's got all the right clothing. He's very clean and tidy. And by the last scene, he's just like in his undershirt, dirty pants, sweaty, no hat. Like
Denton changes with who he's with.
Yeah,
because when he's with at first when he meets the movies, he's in his
proper
suit,
and he's got his sleeves rolled down, and
then in a couple more scenes, he's a little bit more lax. And then when he goes to Roosevelt, obviously back in his suit because he knows he's an adult. He knows what he's doing,
or the governor.
But then when he's at the very end, again, he's in the same thing. He's got his button-up shirt, his shirt's kind of rolled up a bit. It's buttoned down one or two. Yeah. Same thing. He kind of gets onto their level, being like, "You don't got to run anymore. Yeah. It's okay." Jack comes back, and then he's like, Roosevelt gave me some good advice.
No, he goes, "How are the headlines today?" And Davy says, "Headlines don't sell papes. Newsies sell papes." And then they spit in their hands and they shake. Yeah. COVID. So Yes, continue.
Oh yeah, so basically they were like, oh, basically kind of like, why did you come back or whatever? And he's like, well, he gave me, I got some good advice. Basically, I got stuff here.
Like, I got stuff to do here, and he says, I got family here, something like that.
Yeah, and then basically kisses
or he
Sarah.
says that to Denton, I think. Yeah, and then he kisses Sarah, and Les cheers, and Davy's all like, what? And, Pikachu face. And, yeah, and then they start King of New York's, and they start marching out of the newspaper gate thing, and then they start singing and dancing King of New York, and then
No, carrying the banner. King of New York is during the actual just credits.
Right.
Remember the kid does the thing at the end and he falls at the end of carrying the banner, and then it just turns into King of New York.
Yep.
And the end scene credits.
End scene. Yeah, so if you haven't seen this movie, go fucking see it.
It's on Disney Plus, both of them, the musical version and the original are both on there. So you can watch them both. So we're not gonna hate, we're obviously gonna tell you to watch the first one. Or the
soundtrack. Listen to the soundtrack. Soundtrack's amazing.
Right? So good.
But yeah, I fucking love this movie.
And
I have such good memories of this movie.
A young Christian Bale. Like,
such good memories.
It's so
of this
funny.
Movie. We watch it all the time. Like that. This was like when we were watching this movie, it was like the only time my sister Erin and I got along.
That's funny.
That, or when we were watching like Empire Records, or when we were watching movies together, that was like the only time we got along, and it was nice.
I think on that note.
So so everyone just go watch this movie.
Yeah.
This is an amazing movie.
Great movie.
I can't say more good things about it. It gets a bad rep. A lot of people like hate it, and I just fucking love this.
That's great. And like I said, just watching it again this morning, it feels like 1899, and it still feels like 2022.
I feel 10 years old again when I watch this movie.
But not only that, like, it was 1899, and it still feels like it's like 2022 because
we just have better technology.
Yeah. The issues
the politics are still the fucking same.
Politics are the same. The issues are still the same, and doesn't seem like America has gone fucking anywhere progressed except for
our history are bound to repeat it, right? If we don't learn from it, which obviously
we never do.
Haven't.
History repeats itself, just like fashion recycles itself. Everything is in cycles and repeats and all of it. So, I mean, on that note, our American lady friends, we see you. We hope for changes. We hope for, fuck the rich white men.
We really hope that something drastic changes in the next election. Hoping like overhauls or something. Like, we are praying for you, ladies.
But the thing is it's got to be the Supreme Court change, because it clearly wasn't the election. Like, Biden is in, it's not Trump, but it's the Supreme Court shit that they've got to.
Can't they change the Supreme Court justice?
So I was actually reading something today that apparently Obama was supposed to hire a new Supreme Court, someone for the Supreme Court, like a new judge, right at the end of his term. But for some reason, the Supreme Court justice told him suggested for him not to do it, and then now they added like a bunch more in that were a bunch of white MAGA guys. So basically it's a whole entire conservative MAGA.
So it's the actual
Supreme
puppeteers behind the White House strings,
basically,
that are doing this. Got it. Okay. So unless those change, nothing's gonna fucking change. But anyway, women, we see you, we feel for you, we wish you the absolute best with this.
And we, if you can, we know obviously there are various circumstances. Try birth control if you can, or try at least some condoms to lesser your
safe, guys. Like,
version of it to have to deal with this. But we understand that there is also sexual abuses that you can't even control. We're not disregarding that. And we are allowed them up here in Canada, and we are for them when you need them. Like, we do not, like we said before, we don't judge, we don't hate.
Yeah, so if you're close enough, if you can afford it, if you can get up here, you will have to pay for it. I don't know how much it is. I don't think it's super, super expensive.
We will take you on a wink, wink camping trip, and we will never tell anyone about this camping trip.
Yep, our camping trip is our secret.
Don't worry. We will take you on camping trips, y'all.
Because we are praying for you, we are hoping for you, and just hang in there, guys. Just keep fighting and keep resisting.
Yeah, keep the
the man.
Right? And if this movie does teach us anything, fighting will work, or at least will get us in the right direction.
Up, guys.
Never
give up.
And the women across in Canada are here for you as well, and I'm sure in other countries are all here for you as well.
Yep.
Because it's not your fault that you had to live in this country.
Yep.
Of idiocies. And on that note,
happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday, Lindy. Happy, I guess, Stranger Things days.
Yes. Oh, I can't wait. I'm so excited. So my dad was like, so I go to my dad's and he goes, so I've been watching this show. He's like, I don't know if you've seen it. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, Stranger Things. And I go, I'm so disappointed in you. He goes, what? And I'm like, how do you not know? That's like my favorite fucking show. And he laughed and he's like, okay, but I thought like what is on Netflix like right now was the end of it. Was done. And I was like, you can't end it like that. What happened? And then he waited and then he saw the preview for episodes 8 and 9. On that note, have a happy Canada Day, everybody.
Happy Canada Day.
Watch your pets with the fireworks. So many dogs and cats go missing when fireworks happen, so please make sure they're secure. Do not lose your fur babies.
Yes.
I see so many posts about missing animals around this time of year. I just saw like 4 of them on my Facebook, like just before recording this.
And then also for our American friends,
happy 4th of July.
Happy Independence Day.
For freedom.
If that's what we call it. But yeah, happy 4th of July.
Stay safe, have fun with what you can.
Right.
Make a difference, maybe.
Like realistically, the rest of the 4th of July stuff is fun. It's barbecues, it's fireworks, it's hot dogs, it's
just stuff your face
summertime
to forget
beaches.
that you live there.
Just forget the politics about the country on this date. Just do it for the fun stuff.
Go to a state where recreational weed is legal.
You can also say the same for us with our Indigenous people. They've been saying for that for the last 2 Canada
That
days
is
as
very
well.
true.
So,
that is so very true. I apologize.
So,
that was insensitive of me. I'm sorry.
No. That's fine.
But yeah, so on that note,
happy whatever you want to celebrate beginning of summer, beginning of July, you know. It's summertime. Enjoy
have a drink
it.
for me and weep for my years I have left.
Happy end of school for the kids. Happy summer breaks for children.
Happy birthday, Riley. Her birthday's tomorrow on the 27th, so.
Happy past birthday when it's airing, I guess.
All right, guys, we're not going to ramble. Yeah, let's stop rambling.
Yeah, happy birthday, Lindy.
Yay!
You are now 39, and this is where it ends. This is where life ends for her.
I'm entering my 40th year of life.
This is true.
Like, I'm not 40 yet, but this is my 40th year of life.
When my grandma passed, that's what it was. She was 85, and they were like, in her 86th year of life. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, nope, that makes sense, because you're still living, and then you turn 1.
Yeah. Makes you want to mini vomit a little bit.
So you're kind of already sort of 40.
All right, I need to leave. So
on that note,
bye guys. Have a great weekend.
Rate us on Spotify, Apple, whatever.
Oh yeah, all of that stuff.
All of that fun stuff. Find us on YouTube.
Click like and subscribe.
And rating us. And then you can find us on Instagram, Turn of the Millennials Pod, and our website, millennialspod.com. And you can also check out the other podcast with my sister, Manufacture the Group, which Lindy will come in soon. We're just starting the O-Town one, so we will bring you in soon.
Let me know.
When and
where, I'll be there.
I know. O-Town was your jam. She was in love with Jacob Underwood.
Wait till you guys see my collage background that my friend Tiffany made for me. It was the back wall of my locker for like 2 years.
Have you found it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay, we got to take pictures of it then.
Yeah, I've got
or a video or whatever. We'll have to do that soon.
Okay.
So, on that note,
guys,
happy celebrations and have a good day, evening, night, whatever. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
That was Steph hitting the desk. Good night, y'all.